Hi there, this is David and welcome to the top 15 short, modern games for working adults. After I uploaded the first video, I got a lot of comments about newer console games, fan-created Steam games, and even some mobile games. But what really caught my eye was when somebody said in the comments, "David, this list is great and all, but where are the games from this past decade?" Well, I stand here guilty as charged. When I think of fun games, I immediately go back to my childhood, and I don't really think of them as retro since I lived it. I just think of them as good classic games. However, not everyone here is as old as me, and I get it. Modern gamers want to play modern games. So, let's look now at some great short games for the busy adult that are all under 20 hours and released within the past 10 years. Number 1. Dothack GU Last Recode, released for the PS4 and PC. Did you play and enjoy these games years ago on the PS2? Or did you never get around to the series? Well, even if you've never heard of it, now is the time to get into a pretty engrossing franchise. This collection includes all three of the original Dothack GU titles, as well as an additional fourth volume. These games are all set inside an MMO, and each should take you roughly 20 hours to complete. Do that 4 times for each game, and you've got a lot of bang for your buck here. Number 2. Battle Chasers Night War, released for the PS4, Nintendo Switch, PC, and mobile. This one is kind of interesting. It's almost as if the designers crossed a comic book with Final Fantasy, then splashed in a bit of Diablo for good measure. Like some other games on this list, it's actually a Western game, but it's still a JRPG as far as I'm concerned. There are a few things that bothered me though. Dungeons are randomly generated, and there is an involved crafting system. If you can get past that, you'll have a fun time, and it really should take you no longer than the 20 hours for the main campaign. Number 3. Child of Light, released for the PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This is such a cute game, and like Battle Chasers, it was created by Western developers, but as a love letter to the JRPG fan. You play as Aurora, who sets off to recover the land's sun, moon, and stars from the wicked Dark Queen Umbra. It reminds me of almost like a fairy tale brought to life, and it really won't take you any more than 10 hours. Also, a nice touch is that it has multiplayer, so you can game with your children or significant other at the same time. Number 4. Citizens of Earth, released for the PS4, PS Vita, Wii U, 3DS, and PC. This is a quirky game following a man who was just elected to be the vice president of the world, and now, of course, he has to save it. So, you go around recruiting a bunch of characters to do just that. It's like Suikoden meets Earthbound, but now all the quirky NPCs will join up with your party. I think my favorite part though is just wandering around all the interconnected maps and exploring to see all the eccentricities that it has to offer. Number 5. Cosmic Star Heroine, released for the PS4, PS Vita, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PC. Confession time. I don't really like many fan-made RPG Maker type games, but I do like those Zeboid games. In fact, Breath of Death 7 was the first one of those RPG Maker games that I did play. Before that, I only stuck to reputable developers, but they definitely expanded my horizons. And while Breath of Death was basic, Cosmic Star Heroine is nothing but. It's essentially Chrono Trigger crossed with Phantasy Star. And the best part, it respects your time. It's just a great adventure from start to its 15-hour finish. Number 6. Costume Quest 2, released for the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. Here we have another Earthbound influence game, which leads me to a question. Nintendo must see all these Earthbound influenced Western developed games, so why don't they milk the series like they do Zelda, Pokemon, and Mario? It boggles the mind. Anyway, this could very well be the shortest game on the list, lasting maybe 8 hours, as you traverse your town to save Halloween. If you like the original, or you just like Earthbound, be sure to check this one out. I mean, it's so cheap, and you can beat it in like a day. Number 7. Doom and Destiny, released for Xbox 360, PC, and mobile. This RPG Maker throwback is quite good, and it's sure to make you laugh. Similar to God Medicine for the Game Boy, it starts out with 4 friends who get whisked away into a game world full of parodies, humor, and an active time battle system. The story can be a bit generic, and the writing juvenile, but if you like what you see here, check it out. You can beat it in probably, I'd say, 15 or so hours. Number 8, Evoland 1 and 2, released for the PS4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PC, and mobile. This is a game made by and for lovers of the genre. As you progress through the story, you'll be going through the evolution of RPGs. You'll start off on the Game Boy, then move on through the 8, 16, and 32-bit eras, while the battle system, style, and graphics of the story evolve as well. The first game will only take you about 4 hours, and the second about 15 or so. It's pretty cool that it's not just strictly action RPG either. There's fighting, shooting, and turn-based modes sprinkled throughout as well. Number 9, Am Setsuna, released for the PS4, PS Vita, Nintendo Switch, and PC. This was the first game created by Tokyo RPG Factory, and as far as I'm concerned, it's the best one. Lost Spear and Okanaki are short RPGs too, but I found them to be lackluster, while their inaugural Chrono Trigger-inspired outing blew the other 2 away. The music and snowy setting is ethereal, and the storyline is somber and mature. The main story should last you roughly 20-ish hours, but if you want to do everything, be prepared for more like 30, but it is worth it. Number 10, various Kemco RPGs, released on mobile and more recently, the PS4, Nintendo Switch, PC, and Xbox One. Hey, I get it. Sometimes you just don't have the time to sit down in front of a console and game, but I'm sure that everyone out there can find 5 or 10 minutes to relax and unwind on their telephones, and that's where these gems come into play. Granted, some are much better than others, and there is a lot to rifle through here, so I'm just going to list out a few of my favorites. Meridian Tavern Story, As Divine Hearts 2, and Fern's Gate. They can be pretty basic, but I do think that you will have fun with them. What are your favorite Kemco RPGs? Let me know in the comments, and let's move on. Number 11, Peyer, released for the PS4 and PC. This is a strange cross of ogre battle, soccer, and, hell. In Peyer, you're cast as the Reader, essentially a sports manager who has to develop a team to compete in the trials. Only this is a fantastical underworld, and victory in the trials is your team's only means to return to the upper world. And you do this through real-time strategy matches against the opposing team. The game will take you about 15 hours to beat, however, with so many unique storyline choices, you could do some multiple playthroughs to see how the different stories play out if you want to. Number 12, South Park: The Stick of Truth, released for the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. If you like South Park, you'll like this game. If you don't like South Park but you like RPGs, you'll still like this game. And if you just don't like RPGs, well then, why are you here? It plays as if you're watching an episode of the show. There's so much humor. There's hidden things to find and just downright absurdities that you really can't help but love it. And even though it is short, you can get some replay value out of it if you want to give it another playthrough as one of the other classes at the start. Number 13, The Longest 5 Minutes, released for the Nintendo Switch, PS Vita, and PC. This could very well be the quintessential best RPG for a busy adult. That's because in addition to being only about 10 hours, it's chopped up into little micro-adventures that last anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. You start off the game ready to kill the final boss and end it, only to lose all of your memory and your powers. So then you have to have little flashbacks to towns or dungeons in order to regain your skills and memories to defeat the Demon King once and for all. Number 14, Trials of Mana, released for the PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Here's a new one. This is a remake of Seiken Densetsu 3 or Secret of Mana 3, first released on the SNES, but never officially in the West, though it was fan-translated. You can choose 3 out of 6 heroes to start, and then they all go through multiple class changes, and this alone will allow for tons of replay value as you traverse the fantastical landscape for roughly 20 hours. If you're a fan of action RPGs at all, you owe it to yourself to see one of the absolute best that the genre has to offer. And number 15, Undertale, released for the PS4, PS Vita, Nintendo Switch, and PC. This game could well be the poster child for what I've been preaching for years, that games don't need great graphics or huge budgets to be good. In fact, most of my favorite games came out in the 90s, well before AAA titles were ever a thing. Undertale pays homage to those titles of the past while doing its own thing too, and while combat can be frustrating for somebody old like me, it's well worth it at the end. Played through it a few times, selecting some different story paths each time, and see what all the fuss is about. Well, that's it for the 15 short modern games for the busy adult. I hope that you liked this video, and what are some short games that you would recommend to others? Also, be on the lookout for a part 3. We'll all address some short action and strategy RPGs too. If you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. The link to it can be found in the video description. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.